Come here now, girl.
Hello and welcome to What's Map, your one-stop shop for everything workshop. I'm BonBonB and you're very welcome. Well, today we've got two maps that aren't from top level creators, but they're creators who have been on the show before and creators who are making leaps and bounds forward. To both of you creators, if you're watching today, don't think that I'm picking on you or anything like that. I really appreciate the progress that you're both making, especially this very first map, which does kind of shine a little bit, not for a big city build, but a creator who last time round, episode 1259, got 7 stars, including the dreaded 1 star for gameplay. Big steps forward with that one. Following up with that with a real life location in the second half of the show. For those of you that want a Swiss map, we've got a Swiss real life location that's quite neat too. But before we do any locations, I've got a task for you. That's right, clicking that like button really does support the channel, gets me seen by more people and helps me grow a little bit more every single day. Thank you for your support. Today's first map is Njalö or Njalö. I literally don't have a clue. I'm going Njalö, I'm sorry if that's wrong, by Djaan, which I think is probably a bit right, hopefully. It's not unlike me to get everything wrong. Start Square looks quite pleasing, doesn't it? It's a valleys and mountains style map, although we got a lot of coastline as well, which we'll take a brief look at later on as well. But it's more about the valleys, okay? We've got some offshore resources and a little bit of fertile land in the valleys as well, so farming as well. And then if you've got Sunset Harbour and you want to do some fishing, your fishing map will look like this, which is a fair mix of everything, I would say. Okay, off to the workshop. What do we need? Well, first of all, not too many bits and bobs. A few custom roads and then a couple of trees. Oh, we're using the SCT Nature Reserve theme. Tree anarchies there as well. But it does say here that it took them forever to make this map. And they're really pleased with it compared to their last map. And I would heartily support that. I will heartily support that. Oh, by the way, we're using the realistic 1.2 LUT. I think you guessed. Anyway, where are we? We've got tunnels and we've got mountains. It's a perfect map for tunnels. And a lesser creator will have bodged this road network up. A lesser creator than Djaan. Djaan's done a pretty neat job with the highways. I'm going to have 1 or 2 minor grumbles, and they're only minor grumbles. Perfectly adequately fine, if not more than adequately fine. There we go. Look at the way that we're just flitting in and out of the mountains, running along the crests. No trees under the roads. Lots of good stuff to talk about. And an interesting route as well. I'm definitely not going to be doing too much building in these valleys, but it's going to be great for screenshots, isn't it? Do you think? I think. Anyway, heading down into the main valley now. We've got a bit of a clearing for the road to come out. And I'm good with all of this. And the standards as well of the road lane. It looks a bit like possibly the parallel road tool's being used. And none of the problems that happened with the parallel road tool being used appear apparent here either. Again, credit. And a very slick, nice intersection for it to all connect up with the main route as well. Now, while I'm selling all of this up, I'm selling it up as much because of the progress that this creator is making. Are we looking at a quality map from the standards of all the A-listers? We're not. We're not. But we're looking at a map that is a little bit different. It's got playability in it. It's got pretty decent standards in it. And if you're a map snob that has to have everything perfect, then shame on you. And shame on me as well, because I'm kind of the same. But this is plenty playable. If you were to randomly have opened this map up, having never played Cities Skylines before, opened it up and decided to have a game of it, you would think how good this map was, especially in comparison with the base game maps. There's plenty of good stuff going on here. Room for improvement, always room for improvement. If there's not room for improvement, we are, well, frankly, we might as well just give up. Never make another map again. So there's always something, hopefully always something for me to find. Just occasionally there isn't, just occasionally, but today we do. Right, okay, now we're going to go back into tunnel mode. An intersection here which is quite neatly done. There's stuff to talk about here, which we will come back and talk about a little bit later, but I'm liking the shape of the intersection, and we'll skim over it so that we're not too critical too early on in the flyover. Then we're going to go into another tunnel. Now, if I remember rightly, I lost where this tunnel came out for a moment. Yeah, it's over on the left-hand side there. Got a castle. Oh, it's a castle. We'll have a look at the castle very shortly. You know we will. But again, another very nicely done intersection here. Very intricate. Good, classy lines. Nice transitions. Nice gradients. All of that is nice. All of it. Hear that, Djaan? All of that's very nice. And I'm also liking the way that it then leads down to the start square via this little switchback, down the mountainside, and into a reasonably playable start location. I mean, it's not the hugest, kind of a detailer's map, I feel, without being too much forcing of the detailer's map principle. I would say it works. Anyway, we now have another little... Oh, wait, hang on. Did anybody spot a tree clipping through the underside of a road? I did. Anyway, we're going to move on. Going to go one more tunnel, which is going to take us out within view of the coast. And we have a coast. And I guess that adds a little bit more gameplay to this creator. We'll pull the camera down in a moment. We will find the coast in a moment, I promise. But yeah, it's not just hills, mountains, valleys, lots of trees. It's not that, and nearly 500,000 trees or tree clusters, so the lag's not too bad because it is tree clusters. But what we have is the option also to come down to this coastline and build a coastal city as well. Now, I don't think this is the strength of the map. I would like to have seen possibly a little less sea and possibly a little bit more, maybe some slightly larger gaps between the mountains here and there to allow for more mountain towns. Let's switch across to the rail here. I mean, the rail's fine. I mean, I've got nothing to say about the rail. Possibly it's too close to the coast and it's going to restrict a coastal build. I mean, but it's flat land. The quality, the standards are all here. I mean, the entire coastal area is a little bit meh, if I'm honest. While we've got some pretty interesting shapes of mountains and forestry shapes as well are pretty reasonable as well, the whole coastal area is a little bit meh. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing I can say, oh, you made a big mistake with this. There are no big mistakes with it. It's suitable. And that's about all I can say for you. It's suitable. But yeah, the rail is fine. Possibly some transitions slightly steeper in gradient than real, so true realists might be grumbling, but I'm good with it. Honestly, I'm good with it. And plenty of buildable space along that coast as well. Slightly less in the actual centre of the map, the meat of the map. I'd like to see maybe a little bit more meat of the map and slightly less interest in the coastal areas, but that's just me. I'm sure everybody will have their own opinion and will correct me. Loving the shapes of the mountains. Look at the shapes of these mountains. Works really well with the nature reserve theme and the tree painting. We don't have any proper forest blending just to soften the edges, but I'm liking the density of the forests and the general shapes of the forests as well. And you don't always have to have perfectly tapered forests. You don't. And you don't have to have perfectly beautiful farms. That's what I'm looking for. You don't, but the field painting here and the hedgerows, I'm good with these. I'm not saying they're top level. I'm saying they're perfectly good. And look, we've even got a little bit of like forestry, just edging, lining the rivers for a little bit of interest along the river edges as well. Again, not next level, but nothing I can complain about really. Now there is you may have spotted already. We're going to pick up. We're going to point fingers and go, nah, I found something. Okay, nah, I found something. Okay, but once these vehicles are moved, once they're moved out of the way, you'll see a little bit of terrain glitching through the underside of the highway there. Just a little pinch on that one. But you may have noticed the intersection that I really liked just before we got to the mountain had a pinch more of it than that. I'm going to try and do a little bit of a very quick fix down here. This can happen depending on which networks you're using, and there are different tolerances between networks. But here you can see we've got a few little pinch points around here where it's just not quite right. And some of this is just elevating the node. Some of it is playing about with the segments just to make them slightly less sharp. And there's, you can see here, even I can't find a very quick fix to all of them. But the fact is, there are fixes for all of them. Now, I think at the bottom, I've fixed the bottom. I haven't fixed the middle and the top. But this isn't a fix-it show. I just wanted to show that it can be done without too much bother. So anyway, I like that one. I also like the castle. Ooh, it's a castle for the BonBonBingo players. Link is in the description. It's a simple, pleasing, believable little castle. I'm good with all of this. All of the common errors are missing from that. And you can go, yeah, but look at the gun. It's firing to the trees. Yeah. But how long's that gun been there, and how long have the trees been there? I totally buy into that. That would have had a great view over the valley, and the trees would have been cleared back in yesteryear. So I'm good with that. Now, the rivers. The rivers are a combination of, like down here, it's struggling a little bit bumpy down here. Just a little bit. It's almost good. Almost good down here. And then it will transition into actually a very slightly under-detailed river. Again, doesn't matter. We can do our own detailing. Doesn't matter as long as the bare bones are good. And I think we've got good bare bones here. And notice all the lumpiness has gone. We've got some pretty nice, good-looking stuff going on here. Now, I hate to take your eye away from the river for a moment, but if we can just come down to the underside of this bridge, we do have a little bit of blue mantle over here. It's easily fixed. I do have a blue mantle tutorial on my channel. You know what to do. Okay. Anyway, we have a tree just stood. Well, you know what? I'm going to let that tree go. Stood there on the riverbank. It's fine. These things do happen. And the river in places is just a little bit lumpy at this point. Just a low patch there. But I'm liking the shape of it. Just a few bumps in the river here. Nothing that I couldn't deal with. It's one of those maps that if I wanted to play the map, I think I could happily live with the river on this one. Anyway, this does head on all the way up. Some very nice river areas up here where there are no lumps, and that's a good thing. And then this heads up to a convergence. So we are heading up to a convergence, or then we're going to the convergence. Yes, we are going downstream here. I'm trying to remember which way we're going. And we have a convergence here with the two rivers merging. This second river, I don't like at all. Okay, I really don't like. First of all, look how wide it is. Okay, well that's wide, but it's because it's come a long way, isn't it? It's just come from here. This river, I don't like at all. I'm no fan of it. Honestly, no. Just no. It makes me sad. But other than that, I'm liking the rest of the map. The overall shape of the map, and the standards are way better than we've seen from Djaan before. And we've got the option of building along a coast as well as into the hills. It's got a lot going for it. But the big question is, what do you think of it? Is it a 1-star map? Is it a 5-star map? Is it somewhere in between? Your vote really does count. We use it at the end of the month for the Viewers' Choice Top 10. Will this be one of the top 10 maps of the month? Only you can decide. Hit the I button now, take you to the voting page where you can vote for free. But remember to vote on the correct map because there are 2 maps to vote on. What do I think of today's first map? Njalö by Djaan. Well, aesthetically, I like the mountains a lot. I like the overall shape of the map a lot. And everything else doesn't quite hold up to that standard. It's so close to being a 4-star map. A little bit more blending on the forest edges, or a little bit more work on the rivers, or a little bit of polishing in the fields, or a bit more interest along the coast. I don't know what it is, but I can't go 4 stars. I'm going to go for a very high 3. You'll do the same with detailing as well. There's some pretty decent standards, especially in the networking. But there are a few niggly bits, and blue mantle is a big sin. So I'm going to go for a very high 3 stars. Again, it's borderline. But what isn't borderline is gameplay. Does give us options. I'm going to go into 4 stars. I'm going to go at the lower end of 4 stars because I would like to see more meat in the middle of the map, Njalö by Djaan. Slightly more concentrated on the valleys and just less coast to worry about or even think about. The coast is taking up playability. Damn you, Djaan. Damn you. Be right back. I don't damn Djaan at all. I really don't. I really appreciate their work. And I'm really appreciating this one as well. This is a creator we've reviewed twice in the past. And it's sort of like a nice little balance to it. Episodes 1084 and 1048. And on each occasion they got 8 stars. I mean, it's all about the 8s. Today we're definitely going to go a little bit up on that. It's a real life location. We are off to Switzerland. But it's not an alpine style map, it's a river valley map, and it's quite tasty. The Garnu Map by benzoll is today's second map, and we are definitely above 8 stars. Definitely above 8 stars. Not quite 12 stars yet, but we're working towards it. Good to see improvements. Start Square is interesting and different, and I'm all about those two things. Playability, we can build into the hills, we can build into the valleys. Yeah, Lugano, yeah. We've got field painting. I would say it's not really a resource management map. It's more about maybe recreating the area, possibly in your own style. And if you've got Sunset Harbour, you want to do some fishing. Anchovies and salmon are your 2 main things. Okay, off to the workshop. What do we need? Well, we'll be using the Nature Epsilon theme, and given the choice of all of the Epsilon LUTs, I've gone with the European for obvious reasons. We clearly have a couple of extra things to subscribe to there as well, and a nicely written description. Credit, 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 credit. Lots of creditable things. Right, now, what's the news on this one? Well, there are going to be a few minor grumbly detail things. Possibly a few more minorly grumble detail things than on the previous map. But I'd say the map is a little bit more interesting overall for it. In terms of, and we're looking at the roads networks that we're using here. I've not been down to real life Lugano to have a look in Google Earth. A few trees on the underside of the road. Again, that is just an anarchy setting. You can very easily set tree anarchy or your choice of anarchy to allow for those to be hidden. But they are part of the tree count, and I'm all about letting people see whether a tree's hidden. And you don't want them there, you can always remove them. The rail there, yeah, the rail might follow the exact route. I don't know, but we have definitely got some gradient issues here and there. Cities Skylines isn't easily the best the best tool for recreating real life locations because it's so difficult to get the scaling right. The scaling is really hard. And it's not the only thing on today's second map that the scaling is a little bit out on. We'll all have a chuckle later. I promise we'll all have a chuckle later. Now, in terms of glitchiness, I think this is the worst area on the map right here. I suspect this is meant to be kind of vineyardy, maybe. But it hasn't quite worked out that way. Certainly not on the way that the map is loaded for me. It maybe loads perfectly for benzoll. But this, for me, is a glitchy area. And I can only report what I find. But if we ignore this area and go to the rest of it, the standards are, if you're not looking for a realism map and you're looking for a map that's going to be fun to recreate a real life location or to be inspired by that real life location to recreate an area in your own guise, I think we're doing okay with this one. It's interesting and strong enough to be playable, and I was taken by it. I genuinely am taken by it. And it has that lovely little balance. And those of you who've seen my BonBon Island build, you'll know that actually I like using as much vanilla as is possible. And there's a lot of vanilla on this map. There are not too many things that are non-vanilla. And what we've got is a fairly nice balance. Keeping it nice and light for those of you that have got potatoes. And yet working to some pretty reasonable standards. I mean, we have some pretty reasonable standards going on here. I think the road network is based on the Lugano area. Some of the shapes of these roads don't look like it's something that benzoll has thought of. They have, I would imagine, gone to a real life, top-down map, and just like been inspired by it. Now you'll notice that there are some texture differences between the highways and the 6-lane roads. It's one of those things that it's just a question of what networks you wish to choose to run with. It's going to be easily fixed as a player or even as the map creator. It's completely up to you. But look at it, there's your start square. That's quite enticing. Quite enticing. We have a little bit of a rail down here in the start square as well, including everybody's favourite factory. Also available on a hoodie. T-shirt is coming. I've had a couple of technical issues, many technical issues. Those of you waiting for the viewer's choice, that is coming very soon. I say coming very soon. I haven't started working on it properly yet, but it is coming. I'm missing a little bit. Anyway, we have rail. We know it's a little bit uppy downy. I'm assuming it's taking the real life routes. The routes seem to make sense to me as a real life. So I'm going to I'll bow to benzoll's better knowledge of the area than my zero knowledge of the area. There's a risk of blue mantle along here. Doesn't quite separate. But yeah, the road height alignment is a little bit striking there. And then we have the rail which heads off to the top of the map there. There's more rail. We're not going to look at every bit of networking. I think you've seen the standards. All you need to know is what the standards are like. And the standards are pretty reasonable. Okay, now, overall, as a map, it's just interesting as a build. Like, over here, this is an area that not really is meant for the building area, but you can. And up here on this like hilly plateau, we've got quite a nice little farming area up here. I don't think the farming area is the most exciting farming areas I've seen, but I'll buy into it. I'll buy into that. That works for me as a farming area. So I'm not actually being critical on that. Loving the shapes as well of the hills, and the Epsilon theme as well that's being used here. The Epsilon nature theme is a really. I'm getting the vibe of the sort of like Alpine, the Italian Alpine kind of area. It kind of works for me. I know we're not in Italy, but you know, that kind of area. Also liking the texture on this river. Look at the river mudflats. That's a lovely texture. And in fact, the detail along this river area, I'm completely good with. We've even got a little jetty over here, which is the vanilla jetty, and I'm even good with that. Sometimes, you know, I look at these things and I go, yeah, I'm happy with that area. It's a simple, pleasing, believable little area. As is this little dirt track that heads up through. I'm really liking the way that the theme works with the dirt track as well. I know that benzoll didn't make the theme, but they've chosen the theme, and I think it's a really inspired choice. I think there's plenty of strong talking points with this map and the aesthetics. Now, one thing I think has been put in here creatively are these park life stone structure things. Not sure they really work. I'm not seeing this as part of the Lugano aesthetic. Again, I've not been down there to have a look, but that doesn't really vibe for me. But they appear to be consistent on the high points. So each major peak seems to have one. And then over here, we've got a couple of the low stumpy ones lining the river, where the water is coming into the map there. And over here, lining the highway. So I think they're being used as an aesthetic tool, and I think that's allowed. I don't see any problem with that. Again, we have some more nice little fields. It's a little bit of light field painting. This is where your resources are. You won't be doing any major resource on this map, zoning for ore or oil. You're probably just going to be doing like a pretty build. These are pretty fields here. For a minute we had a sheep up in the top field there, just outside the field. It's a couple of like the pinky trees. That's all that is. It's not a sheep, but I'm liking the lake as well. There's everything's, the scaling on this is pretty neat. I say the scaling. I say I was going to complain about the scaling. We will be complaining about the scaling on one thing in the moment, but before we get to that, what I want to do is I want to show you. Try that again. Come on. What's this not working for me? It's gone. Excellent. That's what I was trying to do. Just trying to shut that window down. Didn't have a little cross in the box. Anyway, no shipping routes, but we do have an air route, which just cuts across over here. Should give you access to wherever you want to have an airport, I would imagine, just about. So that's all good. Airport, there is an airport in Lugano. I have that. The one thing I did take a quick look at in real life was the airport location. You'll see why I checked that in a minute. And then we have water. We have a little bit of water flow in the start square. I think this is going to be adequate to get your city going if you like to pump and draw. That's moving enough there. I would say, yeah, that's a win. And so, the one thing where the scaling is a little bit out, and the one reason why I had to, oh wait, just checking for catenary chaos, there's a little bit here and there. Oh, and I forgot about this as well. This, again, from the top-down view of Lugano, this is a real take as well. So, yeah, this, I've not checked the exact routes of everything, but this is clearly inspired by the area. So, credit. And also a little castle area as well. So, that's nice. Keeping it real. Keep. Okay, keeping it real. Right, okay. So, scaling on the airport. Right down here by everybody's favourite factory. I think the airport runway might be a bit too long here. Okay. My issue is that I like my runways to be a realistic length. And this, for me, is way too long. I've not seen an airport runway that long in my life. And I think it needs to be stretched out. And again, I had a look at the Garnu, and it runs pretty much the length of the shoreline there up to the railway in real life. So, yeah, just a little tweak there, please, benzoll. Just a little tweak. But all told, I think this map has some definite strengths, and it's quite striking too. But what do you think of it? Is it a 1-star map? Is it a 5-star map? Is it somewhere in between? Your vote really does count. We use it at the end of the month for the Viewer's Choice Top 10. Will this be one of the top 10 maps of the month? Only you can decide. Hit the I button now and take you to the voting page where you can vote for free with a Facebook, Gmail, Apple or a Patreon account. But make sure you're voting on the correct map because there are 2 maps to vote on. What do I think on Lugano by benzoll? Well, aesthetically, I think they've got a lot of things right here, you know. I think they've got, it's definitely a sound recreation of the area without being a stunning recreation of the area. I'm going to push it into 4 stars. Bottom end 4 stars, mind you, but I'm sold on it. I like it. Detailing, yeah, there's work. There is work. I think benzoll would admit that there's work. They've got some room to improve, but I appreciate what's in there. There's nothing bad, really. It's not a bad map. I'm going to go down the middle with 3. It's a standard pass mark. Good for me. Gameplay, I'm going to go into 4 stars as well on this one. It's a bit awkward to say whether it's a vanilla regular play or a detailer's map or whatever, but whatever it is, I think there's enough in place for it to be 4. Lugano by benzoll. Big improvement on the 8 stars we've managed before. Big improvement. And practice makes perfect. And I imagine their next map will be even better than that one. But will my next show be better than this one? There'll be one along on Friday. We've got loads of stuff coming and I really want you on board. So make sure you've subscribed and hit the notification bell, of course. There are no gold medals, only silver ones on this channel. Gold medals for those of you that are still here. Part of the 20 now elites. Use the word of the day. Score yourself some population points just for fun. And I'll be back on Friday with another What's Map. Have a great day. I'll see you very, very soon.